Hey guys, welcome to the Real Country Podcast, episode number 4. This is Nikki in Nashville, and first of all, super apologize for my voice. I live in Nashville, and the allergies are killing me, so if I sound a little congested, you guys and him, we're just gonna have to deal with it, but it'll be just fine. So I am super stoked to have my guest on today, and we get to do it live in person because he's actually here with an event tonight, and you're going to be, is it a pre-release party, listening party? Like, what do you got going on tonight?
It's a listening party, but I have copies of the record 2 weeks early, so...
Brilliant, here we go.
Yeah, it's called Sweet Critters.
Sweet Critters, well, this is an incredible record, I know, and great artwork, and he was nice enough to bring me one, which I will listen to, I'm sure, as soon as we're done. But before we get into it, this is Caudle, and he's one of the artists that I've been listening to recently a ton. I was asked to interview him because he's in town, and of course I'm going to say yes. So we're just going to get right into it because I know we have a lot to talk about. So how are you doing? Welcome to Nashville.
I'm great.
Good.
We got in a couple nights ago.
Nice.
And so I did a couple radio things and, doing all the
stuff.
doing all the things before you put out a record, that whole,
Yeah. Cool. I don't know anything really about like pre-release ongoings and materials and stuff. Like give me a breakdown of like the week before, or what do you think you'll be doing leading up to the release?
Leading up, it's sort of like you're just shouting it from the mountains at that point. You know, everything's pretty buttoned up. So it's just kind of, you're just going through it all and just making sure everything's getting crossed off the list and you're getting ready to hit the road. And so, we've got a ton of shows coming up. And so I'm just trying to mentally prepare and, spend as much time with my cats as like I can before I leave them,
Don't forget the pets or the family. Pets are family.
I know. Yeah, totally.
Well, nice. Well, we'll get into all of that with this conversation. And we talked about this as you were coming in, but share with everybody. Are you from here, or where are you from? And what's it like going kind of back and forth from, if you're not from here?
Yeah, I'm from Germantown, North Carolina, which is a little north of Winston-Salem. For people who, no one knows where Germantown is.
Yeah,
so.
I know.
But it's where I grew. It's where I grew up, and so when we were in the lockdown, we were living here, and then we had an opportunity to move back home, and so we did that. And I'm touring so much that it's really nice being home when I'm home. Yeah.
I hear ya. I bet it's a lot. It takes a lot out of people being on the road so much. Sometimes you just want to sleep in your own bed.
Yeah.
I get that traveling just like a couple days at a time. I'm just like, whew, I just want to go home.
Right.
Well, that's awesome. Well, let's just get right into the music stuff because everybody's dying to hear about it. You have a obviously major release coming out. Is this your 6th or 7th album? Something like that,
See, because I did a few records before I did this full time, and so I kind of don't count those, but so I think this is 6th is what we're calling it.
This is 6th, and we have Sweet Critters coming out on the 30th.
Yeah,
August 30th. Look at this stellar album artwork. Tell me about the artist again.
Her name is Molly Sherlock. She lives in West Virginia, and she's cool. Really into forestry. And so when I told her about the idea I have, I said, hey, I want to do some, Appalachian flora and critters from my neck of the woods. And so she researched it and she drew it all by hand.
Nice.
And it's just so perfect. I mean, she did such a great job, and
very much so.
She really married the music to the artwork, which I think is so important.
Very much. And the profile here of you looks very personified. It looks just like you. Yeah. So that's awesome. Well, I read about this on your website, and the whole write-up of the album is it was brilliantly written. I don't know who did that, but that was a brilliant write-up of a review of an album.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Her name's May, who did
May.
Yeah,
okay.
And she wrote the bio. She just interviewed me. And,
gotcha.
And,
Wow.
Yeah. She had reviewed our last record, and I loved the review, the way it was written. Mm-hmm. And so I just reached out to her and said, would you ever consider writing a bio for me for the next one? And she did, and she's very poetic. And
she is indeed.
Yeah.
Very poetic is how I would put it. It was a brilliant write-up.
Yeah.
Well, she said, it's a nocturnal collection of songs about the things that keep you up at night by an artist deeply in tune with himself. Talk to me about what that means. What was some of the inspiration behind this album, and where did it come from? Like, what are the stories behind some of these songs? Yeah,
so I mean, most of my records feel kind of like a snapshot of like a 2-year window kind of, and so I would think this is pretty, this falls into that, but she's right, this is about the things that keep you up at night, and I'm a thinker, and I edit a lot when I'm writing, and so So sometimes a song will take a really long time to develop, and I'll just let it come to me. I will I will wait 2 years on a song.
Yeah.
You know, so
Don't force it.
Exactly.
Sure.
You know, and so I'm really proud of this batch of songs. And, you know, it is about the things that keep you up at night and some happy stuff too.
Yeah, so not just like keep you up at night in your brain, but also some of the just like physical manifestations, right? Of just like sounds that you're hearing or things that's going on in that time that you're probably up and awake and thinking about things.
Absolutely, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, Knee Deep Blues is my favorite song, I think, of yours ever that I've heard. And it was one of the singles that you released from this, right? There's 3 out right now.
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. So go listen to that one. If you like my opinion, you don't have to like that one too, but that one's my favorite. I love like really snappy, super banger there.
Yeah.
How do you explain your sound maybe to somebody who's never heard you before?
Yeah, it's tough because I think it pulls from a lot of different, you know, pulls from obviously country music, blues, bluegrass, folk. And so I try to just blend it all up and kind of go through my filter. And so we have bumper stickers right now that says it ain't bluegrass, but it ain't bad.
Yeah.
Which is like some drunk guy in Colorado told us that after a show one time. And so I put it on bumper stickers and hats because it's true. You know, I think we have, you know, our instrumentation is very much that of a bluegrass drum. It's for the drummer, we have drums. And so that kind of takes us into more of like a country world, but it's very rootsy. It's like
that's what I was gonna ask, is like a roots.
Yeah. I would think like, you know, John Prine or Guy Clark or that kind of stuff. You know?
Okay. Well, then you said too that you were at Americana Fest last year, right? So do you feel like, I don't know how really to explain Americana. Do you think that's an all-encompassing term?
Yeah,
Okay.
I get thrown there a lot because I think that people, you know, they don't quite know where. You know, so I'm like, well,
I don't really know where to
I'm just doing my
We're
thing.
gonna go you in here. That's, you know, that's totally fine. It's like sometimes it gets like wordy, being like, yeah, it's country, blues, folk, bluegrass.
Yeah.
You know, but people, you can make your own judgment, obviously, of what it looks like. So, as something that seems so personal to you, it seems like all of these songs have that element. Are you writing from, or even when you approach like any of your songs, are you writing from an experience, or do you feel like it's like ethereal view on the world?
It's usually pulled from like my experiences. Even in my story songs, I try to make sure there's a good dose of myself in them.
Yeah.
Because when I'm writing, I'm kind of looking for a line or two that really make me feel something, because I know that if I can make myself feel something, it'll translate, and other people will feel that too. So, yeah, there's if you want to know who I am, go listen to my records. It's, you know.
Yeah. Do you feel like you encompass like a storyteller, and as it comes into that way?
Yeah. I think there's several story songs on here.
Yeah.
Knee Deep Blues is more of a like, you know, my point of view.
Sure.
But then there's songs like Sweet Critters is a story song.
I love that one too. Yeah.
The Devil's Voice is a story song. So yeah, I like pulling, usually my records are like half story songs, half just, you know, my point of view.
Nice, you're switching up a little. I like the lyric video too for the Sweet Critters one. It feels like, have you ever watched YouTube and it's just kind of like the ambient music kind of in the background, and they have that just like, there's just really like slow motion going on in the video, and it's very relaxing, and that's like kind of what he's doing. He's just like sitting on a typewriter the whole time. Yeah. But it feels like almost you're writing the story as it's sung, kind of. Is that what you were trying to do?
Totally.
Okay, cool.
It's kind of,
success.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Yuletide log that you like, you know what I'm talking about?
Exactly.
It's like little things are happening in the video. But,
yeah,
you know,
it just like kind of looks like it's on a loop, but it's not. It just kind of feels like, no, it was very calm. It was super cool. I really liked it. There's a cool personification of the song. Speaking of Sweet Critters, you had a collab on that. And he worked on this record for you. He was a producer, and that person is John Paul White. Will you talk to us about, one, for the people who might not know who that is, and what it was like working with him? Yeah,
I think probably the introduction to John for most people would be his old band called Civil Wars. They had, you know, won some Grammys, had a lot of success. Yeah. He's also a writer. He's co-written with Taylor Swift. I think a lot of people probably know
it from that.
Yeah, for the Hunger Games soundtrack. And he's an incredible artist. I mean, one of the best voices I've ever been around as far as singing goes. And he's just like a really good presence in the studio. we've been friends for a while. We kind of kicked around the idea of making a record together for a few years, and then it all lined up, and I sent him some demos, and it ended up being a great experience. Yeah.
That's awesome. Is he from around the same area as you, or does everyone with like long hair and beards kind of become friends?
That's right. I think so. No, he's from the Muscle Shoals area, so
gotcha.
So that's where we cut it at his studio.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, love Muscle Shoals. Lots of musical stuff down there too.
Yeah, yeah.
You had said that he kind of pushed you on this album. How, like, what was that journey like? It was like out of your comfort zone, pushes you to other limits, to like think differently. Like, what did you kind of like find from working in that capacity?
Right, yeah. So, I mean, I've worked with producers before, but I think John specifically has like an ear for vocals. I mean, he hears things that I don't hear. And so he kind of pushed me to, broaden my range as far as singing goes, and just like pushed me to get it right. So it didn't, it's like, if we're not getting it, we got to keep going and keep going. And so
perfect, not just done.
Yeah, exactly. And so I love that. Like, I love that environment being pushed. And so I really rose to the occasion. I really love that process.
Nice. That's great. That's probably a very not super common. People like being pushed. I don't know if like you feel that was stressful, or in your case, like you embraced that sort of thing. I feel like maybe some people feel that was like stressful. I don't know.
Yeah, I could see it being stressful. Yeah, I'm always like really ready to be pushed and like, do something new and expand and grow. And so he really made me grow.
That's how you develop your craft and as an artist.
Absolutely.
And can make things perfect and just continue to develop on that. Well, that's awesome. That's so cool hearing that you worked with him. I really can't wait to listen to the whole thing. Speaking of that, which he might be some of your musical inspirations, but who are some of your musical inspirations? Writing, listening, I guess, who'd you grow up on? Yeah,
like everything from really, like I was saying, John Prine, Guy Clark, Merle Haggard, Waylon Jennings, Willie, but I also love pulling from stuff. I love Buddy Miller, Lucinda Williams, all the alt country boom that happened in the 90s with like the Jayhawks, Uncle Tupelo.
Oh, I haven't heard anyone talk about Uncle Tupelo.
Yeah. So I'm just like, I really try to I just look for good stories, good songs.
Sure.
And so I'm pulling from everywhere and just trying to like, take a little bit of everything and make my own, make my own soup with it.
Make some soup with some inspiration. Who are some of the maybe artists now who are kind of like, I don't want to say in your class, but are also out touring, who are like kind of on your radar? Like, do you listen to anyone?
Yeah, totally. We went on tour with Hayes Carl. I love Hayes.
Oh, nice.
We did a tour with Brent Cobb recently, which I love Brent. So yeah, those are a couple that I really like. I really like John Moreland. He's a buddy of mine. So yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of good songwriters right now. Yeah,
well, based on the Hayes and the who else? Oh, Brent Cobb. I still go back to the guys with the long hair and the beards. They all hang out together, like both of those guys, right?
Yeah.
Brent Cobb, he played at Railbird, and he had the early set, which I'm like, there's so many people there still at the early set. Like, he is just an OG, and he's such a good songwriter. I don't know how many people don't know more about him, but I guess maybe he's just like, he's on a lot of records, like producing and stuff, maybe working behind the scenes, if that's something that he like prefers, or I don't know.
Yeah. I think he's been producing some, and I know he's touring some still, so it seems like he's always busy.
That's great.
Yeah.
Are you doing Americana Fest again this year?
Not this year. We're going to be on tour, like in the Midwest during that week. Yeah.
Well, let's go to that then. If you're anywhere out there in the U.S., I'm sure there's a stop close to you that he's going to be making, because there's probably 50 stops between now and the end of the year.
Yeah. And that's just basically from Colorado east, and we're doing that this fall. Okay. And then next year we're doing the West Coast, and we're going back overseas as well.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. Wow. That's a lot. Best of luck.
Thank you.
But it's going to be, I'm sure you're going to love it. Well, speaking of home, and you said before you were married, does everyone go with you? Or do you kind of spend time home versus touring? Or how do you manage that?
Just hold on.
Yeah.
My wife used to tour with us, but now she's working behind the scenes for a label. And so she's at home taking care of the cats while I'm gone, and then we'll go out and we'll do 10 dates, and then we'll come home and I'll have a few days off, do laundry, get merch reordered, all the
Nice.
things you have to do when you're home,
Yeah.
and then hit it again. So I kind of just know what I'm in for. I've been doing this for a little over a decade now.
Oh, wow.
And so, I've been around.
Nice. Yeah. So I guess everybody is used to it. My boyfriend's in a band too, and he was gone for 2.5 months this past summer, and I was like, wow, this is like crazy. But kudos to everybody who just like makes it work and is used to it.
Yeah.
It's one of those things.
And it's really fun. It can be fun. I love going down roads I've never been down. So
Yeah.
I feel like there's less of those now than there was 10 years ago. But I still get excited certain places we go to.
With experience comes experience. It's
That's
weird
right.
how that happens. Well, one of those dates I saw on your Instagram is a very special date here locally. Do you want to tell us about that?
Oh yeah, I'm making my Grand Ole Opry debut November 23rd.
Congrats.
And John Paul's gonna come up from Muscle Shoals and sing with me that night. So
oh my gosh, that's
very
gonna be
excited.
amazing.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Sometime in November?
November 23rd.
November 23rd. Okay, so it's like a Thanksgiving show, pre-Thanksgiving show. If you guys are around, definitely get tickets to the Opry that night. That's gonna be amazing. Well, congrats.
Thank you.
Are you excited?
Yeah, it's a good call to get, Yeah, it's a good call to get. And so I was excited. I told my parents, they were super pumped. They're going to come over for it. So yeah, it was good.
Amazing. I'll have to make it out for that. I love Opry debuts. They're so just like, you did it, like congrats. It's a huge milestone for so many people. That's super cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, congrats on that.
Thank you.
I also read, talking about going on tour, you've supported people like Seabrill, Brent Cobb, Charles Wesley Godwin, Ray Wiley Hubbard.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite? I won't tell.
I like them all. I mean, it's so cool when a bigger artist shares their stage with a smaller artist like me. So I'm just thankful that they take a chance, and they've all been great, and it's been
awesome.
fun singing encores with all of them. And
I love that. Did Charles Wesley have you up for his last song where he brings all of his
for Country Roads? Yeah, I did that.
That's awesome. I'll have to find that Do you know if there's footage? Because I'm gonna grab it.
I don't know. There might be some shaky cell phone footage somewhere.
We'll ask the Google machine if there's anything.
Yeah.
So going back to not future but past stuff, did you grow up like musically into music, knowing that you wanted to be an artist, or like at what point in your life were you like,
no, I did. I view it as like blessing and a curse, because it's like exactly what you want to do, and you just got to figure out how to do it. So since I was real little, I mean, like before I was even a teenager, I was writing little words and poems. My mom was like, we find like balled up napkins with words on them. And so I always knew I wanted to do that, but I didn't really understand that it was going to be songs one day. That was like the easiest way. I started playing guitar just because I had these words and I had to put them to something so I could go. I wasn't going to go to like the slam poetry open mic. I need a guitar with me, So that's what we did.
I've never understood. I don't think I've ever been to any. Do you just speak like in a cadence, or I don't know?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think so. Yeah. So yeah, I just started playing guitar as like an outlet to put the words to, and then I got better over time. So it was.
What was that journey like for you? Since you already knew like that's what you wanted to do, how did you start off pursuing it? Were you kind of doing everything at the beginning? Were you reaching out to people that play like local rooms, and then it got bigger? Like, what was that progression like for you?
All that. I mean, there's a small venue in Winston-Salem called The Garage, which actually I wrote a song about it. It's on this record. The Garage was
your third single, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that.
So it was a 100 cap-ish room, like a little cinder block room. And so when I first started going there, I was just a fan, and there would be bands that would come through and they'd tour through. I'd let them sleep on my floor.
Nice.
And so then I started
know people that way.
Yeah. I started doing like open mics, and then opening for people. And then eventually I like played my first, sold out show there.
Solo show.
And so it was a lot of fun, and it's a great place.
That's cool.
And it just kind of helped me hone my skills. And like, I think if anybody's out there and they're like, I really want to pursue music, I think find a small venue who's like willing to let you suck for a while and get better,
I love that. I'll ask you about that then, because so many people take different approaches to their career, obviously. But for somebody just starting out, would you suggest like going that route where you kind of own your local market, and then you build up a huge fan base, and then you start kind of moving on? Or would you suggest from the beginning, like going somewhere where things happen, like here or New York or, you know?
I mean, I think there's pros and cons to both, you know. I think it's like, just don't stop working on your craft and just, you know, every day I do something for music because I love it, you know, and so it took a long time to get to where I'm at now, and I feel like I still have a long way to go. So
I like that.
Yeah.
Embrace that it's a lifelong thing and to be in it for the long haul.
Yeah, I feel like anyone can do it, but it's just a lot of sacrifice, and it's a lot of just being willing to try and fail and get better.
Yeah. Try and fail, and then don't stop after that.
Yeah,
Like, failure's a necessary part. I tell that in anyone in like business too. Just keep going.
Yeah.
That's what everybody says. Like, what one piece of advice would you have for an artist? Like, don't quit. Just keep going. You know? Yeah.
I mean, I've probably learned some of the biggest lessons in my failures, you know, so it's like very cool to really step back and be okay with that.
Yeah.
And just being like, look, all my dreams, they're inevitable. I just have to figure out how to get to them.
Brilliant. I love that. It's only a failure if you don't learn from it. Like, it's only a failure if you don't take it as a lesson.
Totally.
Then something like that.
Yeah.
Well, looking forward at the quote unquote end of your career, and you're looking back, what would you ideally like to be like? I accomplished fill in blank.
Yeah, I mean, I want to be looked at as a good person who treated people right and a great songwriter. I mean, it's very simple, sounds simple, and I work on both of those things every day. So.
Oh, I love that. Well, good for you. Do you do a lot of co-writes outside of your own stuff? Are you like working on like other collaborative writes with other people, or is it kind of like you just write on your own most of the time?
I always think of myself as somebody who would love to co-write. And I've done some successful ones. There's none on this record. I had one with Natalie Hemby that we wrote on an older record of mine.
Okay.
And then on the last record, I wrote one with Brennan Lee. I don't know if you know
I
Brennan.
do. I love Brennan.
Yeah. So
very cool.
So like occasionally I'll write with somebody, and it's usually somebody who I just have a huge respect for.
Yeah.
And we.
So cool. Anyway, I was at Americana, and I finally met her, and then I met Kelly, and then I met, oh my gosh. Melissa, yes. Yeah. And I was like, oh, Wonder Woman, this is great. And then they did their individual performances, and they did performances together. And yeah, she's very tall and also like brilliant. So yeah.
Yeah, I love all three of them. They're all so great. And my wife actually works with Melissa on like the behind the scenes stuff. So
nice. I liked her record too.
It's a very small world.
Yeah, music seems to be a very small world. Everyone knows everyone. And then, you kind of also want to try to meet more people. But yeah, if anyone watching, co-writes, he's brilliant, obviously. Well, yeah, what kind of stuff do you do? I know you work on your craft all the time, but let's say you have like, what's this? A day off.
A day off.
What are we doing? Who's the Caleb behind the scenes of like there's hobbies or like other fun things you guys like to do?
Sure, yeah. I mean, for me, it's like getting out into nature.
Nice.
I love hiking. We're very close proximity to the Blue Ridge Parkway, and it's where I grew up. So we usually will go up on the Parkway and we'll hit a few different spots up there. That's like my ideal day off. It's just cruising around, listening to tunes on the Blue Ridge Parkway.
Heck yeah.
I love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I would think that you were an outdoors person coming from that neck of the woods. There's so many beautiful places out there to do outdoor stuff. But yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Love that.
And when we were here, we would go to like Pillar Park all the time.
Oh yeah.
Over there in Madison, and like out in the Whites Creek area.
Yeah.
So we just try to get into the nature no matter where.
Yeah. In Nashville, it's so interesting because like you have. That's kind of one of the reasons why I like it is just you have downtown and it's very like city feel, but I feel like at 15 minutes-ish in any direction, it's completely odd. Like you've got Percy this way, you've got, Madison and the lake over that way. If you go west, you've got like Montgomery Bell and kind of a couple hours, you got waterfalls and everything. Right. Like there's a lot of really different topographical stuff that's going on around here. So
yeah, it's cool.
Is that some stuff that you did too when you moved here, or where you lived here for a while?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I love the East Side is kind of my hang.
That's your hang?
Yeah. That's where most of my friends are, so yeah. But yeah, we would always go, Percy Priest, Pillar Park, just, anywhere.
Nice. Very cool. Well, this is an enlightening conversation. I'm seriously so excited to listen to this. Sweet Critters, August 30th.
Oh, and we're at Station Inn on September 12th.
September 12th. Yeah. Station Inn, September 12th. Opry debut, November 23rd.
That's right.
Album release, August 30th. And follow you where if you want to give your like spiel on where to get your stuff?
CalebCaudle.com. We have tons of stuff. You could click around on that website forever. So many tour dates coming up. We'll most definitely be near you. So come see us. We're great. I have a wonderful band that's been with me for a few years. They're called the Sweet Critters.
Oh, the Sweet Critters. Yeah. I love that. Okay.
So we just like worked up a whole new show for this fall tour. So I'm really excited for folks to come see it.
That's awesome. I'm excited to see it. All right, everybody, go check them out. Go stream, follow, all that stuff. Buy the record when it's out, and we'll see you next week on Real Country.
See ya.